Okay. Well, that's good.
Okay. All right. All right. Episode 3. How's it
3
going?
is a magic number. Good, man. It sounds weird, but to say this, but I'm getting used to doing this quarantine stuff now.
You are?
Yeah, I mean, like the first 2 weeks, I had cabin fever, and I was just like, man, I want to get out and do something, like go shopping or anything. But now I'm a little more chill, just being at home for long periods of time.
Um, I'm still okay. I haven't really felt that. Maybe just like maybe just being around, friends like you and other
Yeah,
people besides my children. But no, I'm okay. So far I'm okay. I mean, so far I haven't been like, "Oh, I have to get out." I just got back from Target, so I mean, it's like it's not like I haven't been out completely. Um, but it's
yeah.
just like my friend was like, it's like airport rules right now. I was like, you're right, because I left and I didn't even think twice about what I was wearing. I just left like I was in a hurry.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, I miss my friends. I miss my family. Um, I miss hanging out like with my friends and family. It feels weird to say this. Like I was talking to a friend when this all started, and I was like, younger people now have something that's affected their world that's probably gonna stay forever changed. Like, with us, we had 9/11, and after 9/11, everything changed, and I was waiting forever for everything to go back to normal, and it never did. We're still changed after 9/11, like the way we are in airports now, higher security everywhere else. Um, Everyone's extremely sensitive about stuff. It seemed like that all kicked off after 9/11, and it never went back to normal. So, I mean, I think, in some way we'll probably be still quarantining, maybe like once a year or once another epidemic like this rolls through. But now it's in our system now where we know how to do it, and so
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
think so. You're right. I mean, even the Dr. Fauci is already saying like we should never go back to shaking hands with people.
Yeah,
He's like, why do we need to do that? I mean, but of course I don't even know where that even started from, but it's something that everybody does. I mean, everybody does it out of respect or I guess most men do that out of respect. I know
yeah.
women do it, but mostly I guess it's a man thing. Men do it out of respect, to show respect, but I mean, I guess you're right. You don't have to shake hands. I mean, you could bow to somebody, or you could do you could do the South Side "What's up" with your chin.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
The shaking hand. I mean, even the shaking hands thing. People think it's rude if you don't shake their hand, or you have to extend your hand first to. So I
true.
mean, where we used to work a big corporate company, um, yeah, everybody was always doing that, and I was like, and there was people I was like, I don't want to shake your hand. You look dirty to begin with. Or,
No, you're right. I mean, yeah, somebody will get offended, like, like if somebody's like, "I'm all right," and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" But I think maybe it's just a Western thing, because Japanese people don't shake hands really.
yeah,
They bow. So yeah, I mean, it could be where we never go back to work, or not back to work, but not back to work in buildings too. I mean, people could just be. I was talking to my one of my coworkers at work, where
mhm,
you may see later on, as a part of a house, as part of buying a house, show me the office. Like right now, not too many people care about an office, so it
right.
might come into like that's gonna be an important part of somebody wanting to buy a house. Like, let me see the office. Is it good enough?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we're going to see some changes in the long run. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, I mean, we had stuff that changed after 9/11, and I remember after 9/11 thinking like, man, when are we going to go back to normal? And we never did. We stayed permanently changed, in a lot of different areas. So I think, yeah, it's probably going to be that same way with some things now, like not shaking hands. Maybe another disease will come along, maybe not as serious as this one, but we may have to go back to wearing masks again, or all right, we're going to quarantine for 2 weeks and see how this turns out, blah blah blah. But
Yeah, some idiots are already trying to say, let's get back, let's start the economy again. I was I follow the drummer from the band The Tea Party from Canada, and he was
Mm,
putting these people, I want to say it was in Western Canada. I want to say mostly probably where they make all the oil. I forget what city it was in Western Canada, but they were staging a protest on the corner, a protest to open open the world back up, like to stop the quarantine. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Canada.
His comment was uh his comment was somebody lock up this idiot. But even today in meme news, what's the new meme like that the guy we follow, Cthulhu? It's
Yeah.
what did they say? It's the Council to Reopening America. And it's just all old increpid white
Villains.
guys. Yeah, increpid white guys with what's her name? I wanted
Heather
to call
Chamberlain.
her I wanted to call her Priyanka Trump, but I'm sorry, Priyanka. I didn't mean to say that.
Oh.
We work with a girl named Priyanka. She probably was never going to
Yeah.
listen to this, but I don't know why I said Priyanka Trump. Ivanka Trump. It's
Yeah.
like, meanwhile, in the Legion of Doom.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like I
Oh
said,
well.
I'm getting more relaxed doing this. Not as antsy about trying to get out of the house.
Yeah, I feel okay. I mean, I still go outside. You know, I know you do too. I walk the
Yeah.
dog in the morning. I walk the dog on lunch. I walk the dog when I get out, when I finish work. So it's not too bad. Um, but yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, it's becoming normalized, and it's not like we don't have anything to do inside. Thankfully, if we didn't have the internet, who the hell knows where we would be? Or some
Yeah.
people. I mean, I would still read. We still have our records. I still have my books, but I don't know what other people would do without TikTok right now. They would have no TikTok. They would have burned this. They would have burned the streets, the city
You
down
know what?
already.
I downloaded when TikTok first came out. I downloaded it and I didn't know what to do with it, and so I was just using it for apps, like when I would hang out with my nieces and
You're
make
so ahead of the curve, Drew.
just make like dumb pictures with them, with the filters.
Hmm.
And then my old my not my old my youngest niece. I have nieces and then I have great nieces. I was taking pictures with my great nieces. My youngest actual niece, she's like 12 or 13. She was looking at my phone one time and she just looked shocked and she was like, "Uncle, you have TikTok?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And she was like, "Well, my friends have TikTok." And I was like, "Okay, what do you mean?" And she was like, "But you're old." And I was like,
Oh my
so now
God.
when I see people doing TikTok stuff, I'm like, "Yeah, that's like a young cat's game. That's not my game."
That's normally the watermark, right? It's like, oh, my mom's on Facebook. See you later, Facebook.
Yep, I'm out.
I'm out. But yeah, let's get into this. Oh my God.
Well, first, thanks for everybody listening to the first two. If you're back joining us, thank you.
Yes, thank
I had
you.
I had people tell me they were like watching the Rosemary's Baby sequel movie that I posted about.
Nice.
There's some few trashy and probably better movies on YouTube that I found. Just finding like little things here and there. So that was one of that I just wanted to post. It was terrible. So we'll get into that.
So, did you know about it before because you were a fan of Rosemary's Baby, or you just happened to like, oh my God, I didn't even know this was existed?
I found it a couple of years ago. I never knew it existed. Someone posted about it, and someone posted the picture that I posted where on our Instagram where he looks kind of like ghostly, where his face is all painted white, and I was just like,
I
"What
think
is this?"
maybe that's where Jonathan Demme. I'm starting to think he ripped it off because he looked like what's the guy from Silence of the Lambs, Buffalo Bill?
Oh, he
He
did
does look
kind of,
like it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
They also made another one in 2014 with Zoe Saldana,
yeah,
but it was like a
was
but
it?
it
It
was like
was
a
her.
remake. Yeah.
I thought it was. Oh, I thought it was Kerry Washington.
No, racist. No, it was Zoe Saldana.
That's not what I meant.
No, it was Zoe Saldana. I didn't even know that existed. I only found out about that one because of this one.
Okay. Yeah, I was on a movie group on Facebook, and somebody had posted about it, and I was like, "What is this?" And I read about it, and I was like, "All right." And then I happened to find it on YouTube, and I watched it on YouTube, and it was funny. There's like somebody it's uploaded twice on YouTube, and one of them is like terrible quality, and it looks like the background is like a wave, like moving, like the background's continuously moving.
That's the one I saw. I was like, "Is this part of the TV show, or did I eat something by accident that I wasn't aware of?" Because I was like, "What's going on here?"
I guess I gave it more of a druggy feel when you watch that version, but the other one that's on there, it was like a Patty Duke fan club upload, and
Yes,
it was way higher quality.
I didn't watch that one though because the one that I watched that was wavy was the correct time. It was like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
That other one was 2 hours. I'm like, where is this other 30 minutes coming from? Well, it was all like the blue background, like if it was on if they had it
yeah,
on, like they burned it on a DVD or the VHS.
yeah. I had to fast forward for a couple of minutes, and then they cut out the commercials on that one. But I guess it was shown on the old when Sci-Fi Channel just started out because it has like screen caps from that TV station.
Uh, I like the little watermark of sci-fi.
Yeah,
This one
but
didn't
which
seem. I mean, if they had commercials, it was a good edit because I didn't notice. I didn't even notice any breaks.
what'd you think of it as a whole?
Oh my god! So it's like a satanic after school special, I guess. I don't know. It's bad. I wrote a lot of notes. I wrote a
You
lot
know
of
what?
notes on this.
It felt it like the supernatural when it went like with the chanting going on over what was being shown. It looked very 80s, like with the flashing lights and like the intense music. And I was like, I don't remember seeing this in this. Well, I don't remember seeing that too much in the 70s movies where it was just like, like all of a sudden a wind comes through and curtains are being blown and you hear glass breaking. And that's supposed to signify evil going on with the
It
flashing
was
lights and thunderous noises.
Yeah, it was very melodramatic. It was very like soap opera melodramatic at the beginning.
Yeah, I can see.
Um, I, I read a review of it afterwards on the Film School Rejects website, and
Mhm.
the best quote on there, what they liked it. I thought it was shit, but they liked it for some reason. But the best quote he put on there, he goes, "If it's possible, if it's possible to be blasphemous to Satan," he goes, "This movie is blasphemous to Satan."
Um, there was Patty Duke comes out at the beginning. Um,
She
apparently,
looks she looks
she
amazing
was
to be
she was
honest. She looks
supposed to be
amazing.
she was supposed to be Rosemary in the original movie, and just it didn't pan out or whatever. And then they got Mia Farrow. But
I didn't know that. Yeah, you told me that. I didn't know that. That's Sean Astin's mom. If anybody didn't
Samwise
know that,
Gamgee, yeah,
yes, it's his mother, and his lesser known. What's his other? I think, or maybe the other one's his stepbrother, the one that was on Facts of Life for a hot
I
minute towards
know.
the end.
I remember you're talking
Mackenzie
about
Astin. Mackenzie
Mackenzie.
Astin is his name.
Wait, isn't Mackenzie Aston a girl?
No, I thought that was his name.
Oh, that is. Never mind. I'm
Right.
confusing it with the other girl.
You're
With
thinking
the girl,
Mackenzie Phillips, right? You're thinking
Mackenzie
Mackenzie
Phillips.
Phillips.
Yeah. Um, and Gomez Adams' wife.
Yes, he's the Astin,
Um, no,
obviously.
I wonder why. I was trying to like. I mean, if anyone's seen the original movie, it's mainly Roman Polanski's doing, but they make everything seem very coincidental, even the smallest things. And then at the end of the movie, you just realize nothing was a coincidence. Everything was designed to keep her in the loop, keep her there, keep her from running away. And she's basically like in her own. She's basically like in hell. Basically, like it's not a happy ending on the first Rosemary's Baby. But they're just like regular people that are part of a satanic cult. But in this one, they have like supernatural powers and they can see things, and I was
Right,
like,
that was a real weird turn. So this one basically picks up it starts off and it picks up almost right at the it kind of well, how can I say this? The very beginning of it is the very end of Rosemary's Baby, at least a little
Right.
bit, kind of like sliding you into it. Oh, you remember this?
Yeah.
Um,
This is
Rosemary's
where we
Baby.
left off.
Yeah, Rosemary's Baby is. I think it's a masterpiece. Roman Polanski, God bless him. I guess to me, he's like Michael Jackson. You're like, I can't. I don't know how to. I don't know how to hate this guy because his art is so good. But um,
Yeah.
he's a master. It's one of those things that I think. I mean, I'm not an expert on horror movies like you, but I don't know if you would agree with me. The best part about it is that he tells the audience what's going on the entire time. So you're basically like, you know what's going to happen, and that makes it even more creepier. Um, but it's a masterpiece. So yeah, going from that to this, I'm like, whoa. It's like,
This this
ugh.
the only two actors from the movie from the first one that carried over were Ruth Gordon and her husband. I can't remember his
the
name.
the husband is a different guy.
Oh, it is a different guy. Okay.
Yeah, the husband of
So it's
Rosemary's
only
Maybe was Sidney Blanchett, and this guy's name is Ray Milland. But they look exactly the same because I had to look it up. I'm like, is this the same guy? It's not.
okay. So then only Ruth Gordon, but dude, her
Yeah,
voiceovers throughout this film were. I wanted to tell her to shut up. Like,
right. Yeah, the first
and
one,
she
she was
sounded
annoying
goofy.
enough.
Like when she's doing the voiceovers in here, she sounds goofy, like almost
Ye-
hokey. Where you're like, okay, you're like a goofy ass Satan worshiper.
Yeah, the first one is like she won the Academy Award for the first one. So
Right.
it's almost like this one. They're like, you know how you were a little bit of a jerk the first time, or you were a little bit annoying. Let's just ramp it up on this bad boy.
Let's turn that up and let's turn down the skill.
Yeah, it almost turned into like a like a Islander, New York Islander, like just annoying, like Marianne from Brooklyn on the Howard Stern show.
Yeah.
Um, so
Speaking of
yeah, so there's
Marianne,
three parts. There's three parts to this movie. So the first one is what the book of it's
Rosemary.
Rosemary, and then it's the book of Adrian, which the Satanists name him, and then it's the
Yeah.
book of Andrew. um, I want to ask you. You told me disco when you were describing it to me
Oh, I remembered it as
on the film
disco.
rejects. Yeah, the film rejects were like it's disco. I'm like, where is the disco? Because it is in the it's like 70. It's what is it 76? But I was like, this was not disco. I was almost waiting for that because on the second part after the Rosemary part and they kicked into Adrian, it's like okay, maybe okay, it's not going to be a good movie, but maybe this is going to get a little bit crazier. And I was like, oh no, he's just a jerk.
Yeah, that was my bad. In my head, I remembered it as a disco type scenario, but I guess
You weren't the only one.
it was prog rock.
Yeah. Dude, it's just I don't know. I mean, it seemed very, very long. Even for an hour and a half, it seemed very long. And another thing they brought up, Chris, did you see he posted on there? He was like, "Is this the Omen?" He brought up a good point because a lot of people thought
Oh,
that this. I guess they were cashing in. Like I guess the reason they made this was to cash in on the popularity of the Omen. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, there was like an onslaught of satanic movies in the '70s and the '80s too. But looking back, that's when I see some movies that came out in the '70s, like The Devil's Reign, um, things like there were a bunch of satanic movies, and then there was that Satanic Panic BS in the '80s where
With Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah, every day on Geraldo and Donahue was like the satanic cults, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have a problem with satanic cults when I finally become an adult. And now I don't see them. Well, they probably are around, but I just don't see them. But my brother watched it, and he was like, "Is that uh, was she Ginger or Marianne? Can't remember."
It's it's Ginger. It's to
Oh,
you
he
and
was like,
me.
"Is that Ginger?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's her,
She plays the what is it? What do they describe her as?
the aunt.
No, but
A
she's a
broth,
hooker. She's a
she's a
hooker.
brothel owner."
Yeah, but when Patty Duke first meets her, they I forgot how to describe her. Wayward hooker or something like that. Describe her.
That
And
that
you're
was
right.
another
There,
thing too. Like they can control people. Like
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like their powers in this, and their powers in this one, all of a sudden are like off the chain.
Yeah.
Like she just happened to hear it in the phone booth, and all of a sudden completely took over her.
Yeah, this whole thing was just crazy, but it was good to watch it once. Not have to pay for it.
Yeah, and the guy who played the father, the original one was John Cassavetes. Who, if you don't know who
Right.
John Cassavetes is, look him up. This new guy though, he looked just like him, and he acted just like. His name was George Mahanis. I was looking up a lot of these people. A lot of these people were like hardcore character actors in the '60s. Some of them even in the '50s and the '60s. But
Donna
Ruth
Mil-
Gordon,
Donna
huh?
Mills was in it.
Who did she play?
She was the nurse, his nurse when he
Oh, that was. You're right.
uh
The one who inevitably takes it's. I'm telling you, like it's so melodramatic. Like there's no way in hell through this whole thing, just like the first one, that anything good is gonna happen.
yeah, the one that takes his seed.
But I knew that. I knew it. Like as soon as she got close to him, when he was in that place at the end, she's like,
Yeah.
"You're here," and it was just like, and it was weird the way she was talking to him. Like, we help people like you. What are you doing here? What's your story? I'm like, this is so 70s, man.
That is called acting, Mark.
um, and then his friend. One place I saw, they said it was his son, and then all of a sudden it wasn't his son. It was his friend. What was his friend's name? Danny.
Uh, I don't remember the guy that was the one that
Yeah,
was
like
living in the car.
yeah, like no exposition. No, 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 not the original one. Also, I don't know how they switched so fast when the cop pulled him over. I was like, what? That's just come on. That's not even believable at all. You know, they didn't even crash. It's not like it was a crash and he
Yeah.
dragged. Switch with me. All he, like when were they? Like when did they switch? When he was doing the burnouts? No, not that guy. The other one, the one where there's no exposition. Like, why is this guy his best friend? His mom, his aunt, or whatever was like, I don't like. She's like, I don't think me and Paul. Is it Paul? Me and Paul were gonna go to
Oh,
San
Paul.
Francisco. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's like, I don't like you hanging out with him. I thought he was gonna be like a bad dude, but to me, for all intents and purposes, I guess he met him in a church, so maybe he was a priest. I'm like, no exposition whatsoever. Like, who is this guy? How did he even be friends with this guy?
Their satanic temple or whatever just looks like a satanic storefront. That's how it looked. It looked like a it looked like a VFW hall.
Yeah, Ruth Gordon. She's like, where? When the husband's like, where are they? What are they doing? She's like, they're in a store, but it's not a store. I'm like, what is she? She's like, oh, quit bothering me, man. Give
Yeah.
me a break.
That was terrible, but it was interesting to watch.
Oh yes, it was interesting, but yeah, it's just that's all I kept thinking. I was like, this is a satanic after school special, and I
As it
wrote
went
down on
on,
my. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. As it went on too, I was kind of like, man, this seems pretty intense and heavy for like a TV movie, especially the movie of the week,
Yeah,
which FYI was the movie of the week apparently on ABC back in '76.
I
Like
kind of.
the death scene with the electricity and the just the satanic things, like when they showed chanting and the demonic faces when he's in that prog rock scene.
Yeah, that's the only thing that made sense to me when they started painting his face like a mime. I was like, oh, that makes sense because mimes are the Antichrist.
uh,
Lots of slow motion. Like,
yeah.
let's slow this down, stretch it out. What else? Yeah, like, oh yeah, and like what, what the music turned the devil into it, like brought the devil, helped bring the devil out.
I guess. And why
Because
why was
they were already gonna kill him, and then the music started. He got up. They're like, oh, wait a minute, he's got a little bit of spunk in him after all.
speaking of spunk, when like Donna Mills was going after his spunk, why was he being attacked by a hawk?
Oh yeah, she was dressed like a crow, no?
Was she dressed like a crow? I couldn't tell. I
Yeah.
couldn't make out the face.
Yes, it was her, and she was dressed like a crow. She's like, "Give me your seat."
Uh,
uh,
I tell you, man. I've told people before the greatest decade for movies is between 1975 and 1985.
yes, you are absolutely right.
It was just like lawlessness. They hadn't really developed a rating system to handle some of the stuff coming out, and it was just wild shit.
It reminded me a little bit of that movie. What's that one movie you're like, you need to watch this movie? It was set in the 80s with that woman. She comes down, she's an alien. The one I told
Liquid
you
Sky.
this. Yeah, it's basically a porno with no sex.
Yeah, Liquid Sky.
Yeah.
That was good.
What else I wanted to ask you? Like when going back to Rosemary's Baby, um, I think that was maybe I don't know. Do you think that was one of the first like horror movies that took the horror genre seriously? Because that, I mean, that is a good movie. I hadn't seen it in a very long time, and Criterion, their print is excellent. It looks amazing.
It
Um,
does.
but it's just, I mean, it's a perfect movie because it's just enough. I mean, it's very 60s. I mean, it's set in 65. I think it came out in 68. It's very 60s. The way everybody acts, the way the husband acts, the way the men act to the women, the way the doctor acts to her. But
Mm,
you think
I
that was the
think
very first time it took like he took the horror genre seriously?
yes. Trying to remember if anything else really. Maybe some of the foreign movies came close to that, and I mean, Roman Polanski kind of worked in that area. He was making foreign films before that. Well, not before that. Well, yeah, before that.
Yeah, he had a
Uh,
lot of movies before that, like Knife in the Water.
Cul de
Um,
Sac.
exactly.
Um, yeah, because I guess movies back then, horror movies back then were considered schlocky, like the Atomic Age type stuff, and then the Hammer horror coming out of England. Um,
Yeah, like
I mean,
pulp, right? Like it wasn't really taken
yeah,
serious.
I mean, well, I guess the ones here in America, like the Atomic Age stuff,
Hmm.
that was pretty schlocky and rubber monsters and things like that. The Hammer horror was a little more stylized Victorian era type thing, Old English, um, kind of that romantic period with a vampire thrown in or with Frankenstein's monster thrown in. So yeah, I mean, he kind of maybe he did bring it, kind of modernize it a bit. But man, what a monster to pick, the devil.
Yeah, I think the only thing it got a little schlocky was at the end, like with the baby carriage, with
Oh
the whole upside down, with it being black and the upside down
yeah,
cross, and that lady sticking out her mouth when Rosemary was like, "I'll rock him," and they're like, she was like, "No, get away." Everybody's just
uh,
nonchalant. Yeah, like, yeah, it's Satan. Let's celebrate. Here's some champagne.
that was it was interesting, man. I was trying to think of another. There is another one, and I can't remember it offhand. I was trying to think of another um, franchise where a movie started in the theater and then the second part was like a sequel. I mean, a sequel. The second part was a TV movie or something like that.
I can't think of anything else like that. Not
I mean,
offhand. Not
I know in the later on in the '90s and stuff, there was stuff where it was like there was a movie and then the sequel was a direct to video type thing.
uh,
But
or like in the '90s, the perfect example is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
that too, yeah. And Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, Jesus, that was the worst. And Clueless too. They tried to do that with Clueless.
Yep.
Redonkulous. Um,
Uh, I was gonna tell you, I asked you to talk about movie posters,
yeah.
and I don't know if I've ever sent them to you. Have you ever looked up movie posters from Guam,
No.
the country in Africa?
No.
So if you have a chance, look up.
Wait. Guam is an island. You mean Guyana?
Yeah, no, is it?
Guam is an island in the Pacific.
Ghana, sorry.
Ghana, okay. Ghana, right? Yeah.
Ghana,
Yeah.
If you look up Ghana movie posters, sorry about that. I'm terrible with geography and places. Ghana movie posters, they just like repaint movie posters.
Ooh, I
When
see this.
movies
Oh
come out.
my God, this is amazing.
And I don't know if it's the same guy who paints them, but they all look similar. But some of them have nothing to do with the movie. Like they
The one
paint
with
monster.
the one Mrs. Doubtfire, like Mrs. Doubtfire is putting a broom through somebody's eye. These are
Yeah,
amazing. How did you find these?
somebody told me about them a while back. There's
The one for Ghost Dog is Forrest Whitaker fighting dogs.
yeah. Dude, there's a sister act one.
Oh my God, this is
I sp-
amazing.
I spent an hour when I first found out about it, just going through all these movie posters, and they're hilarious because
Dude, the Twin
you're
Peaks
like,
one, for some reason, Vladimir Putin's on the cover of the Twin Peaks one.
you're just like, did this guy watch the movie? Like, who are these characters?
Oh my God, these are amazing.
So if anybody's listening and you have your phone with you and you're or whatever, you have another device to look up, go to Google and type in Ghana
Ghana movie posters.
Ghana Ghana movie posters, and you will get a treasure trove of surrealness.
You will get slapped in the face with awesomeness. It is redonkulous.
And I don't know if they still do that. I remember a couple years ago when I first found out about them, whatever movies were out at the time, there was a few movie posters here and there of those, but I haven't seen any more recent ones.
Jurassic Park has somebody golfing with like a dead dinosaur on it.
Yeah, man, they're trippy.
Desperate Billionaire 2. I've never even heard of that movie, but I want to watch now. Oh, it's not Children of the Corn. It's Children of the Corn 3. Oh my God.
3.
Oh
Like
my God. This is
yeah,
amazing.
you'll spend like an hour just looking at those pictures, man.
Oh my God. I'm gonna put all these. We're gonna have to put some of these on the Instagram. Oh my God.
I saved a few so I can
thing,
send them to you.
the thing has Keanu Reeves on it for some reason. Or I guess that's Kurt Russell. Oh my God. Okay, I need to stop. Otherwise, I'm just gonna spend the rest of this podcast looking at these posters. Oh, I'm gonna buy some of those. I don't give a shit. I'll print them up myself. I'm gonna hang them up in my house.
I think I found there's a company that you can find on there that sells them, like here in America. But yeah,
Oh my God.
if you're listening to that and you want a good laugh, just go, and you like movies, just go and type that into Google search and look at those images.
Oh my God. This is what life is all about, Drew. This is what life is all about. Cujo, the killer dog. For some reason, Cujo is a basset hound with a Rottweiler body. Oh my God. So, I don't know. Any last thoughts about this movie?
It deserves to stay hidden away.
Yeah, it was not good at all. For some reason, on that film school rejects, they were like, "Oh, it's so good." Like the first part, they were like, "First part, second part, here comes the fun." I'm like, no, it did not have fun.
Really, I prefer the first part over the second part.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, the first really. Also, you put a good comment. Like, why is this Antichrist have an Easter egg, and why was the egg black, and why was it a real egg? That's the real question.
Joke's on you, Satan.
But also, we don't know that it was really Easter. I mean, it worked out perfectly for the Instagram.
Is there
But
a
do we know it was
holiday
Easter?
where they search for eggs, real eggs?
Maybe they were the
quarantine. Satanic quarantine.
Maybe they were the eggs left over that didn't work for Ojo. That you put under the bed. No. I wouldn't recommend this movie to anybody. I mean, like I said, to me, it's like, wow, I guess Jonathan Demme ripped this off for Buffalo Bill because to me, he looked like Buffalo Bill. I thought it was gonna be more. They just talked about him being a rock star, but I didn't see him sing or do anything. I didn't actually
Yeah,
see
and
him in the band.
she got really angry about him singing, and I was like, oh, he sings? I forgot about that. And then I was
He
like,
never
oh,
sang, right?
he
He never
doesn't sing.
sang.
Yeah,
And then why did they have to make his dad kill his friend?
I don't know.
All of a sudden, I was like, man, these are too many rules. There's too many rules going on right now. Can't Satan just be a lot more simpler?
Like, and he seemed so, I guess, problematic to them. Like, wasn't listening to them and doing what they want. And then they were like, well, we don't really need him. And I was like, well, you could have done this a long time ago. You could have done this
Yeah.
at the beginning of the movie.
He was living that Hollywood lifestyle, baby.
Yeah.
I like how when Rosemary calls him, he's like, I still love you. It's like, you probably even talked to her for like who knows how long. He's like, it's not even a part of, that was the best part. It's not even a part of us. He's a part of me.
Acting.
And
I don't know. That was weird. That was weird for them to tie their names to this, like Patty Duke and Donna Mills. Well, I mean, I guess
why do you think Ruth Gordon agreed to this?
I don't know.
She's like the only one. Like, why? I was like, why would she agree to this? I mean, she's already
running out
accomplished
of
actor.
roles. She was probably running out of roles to play. I honestly only know her from Rosemary's Baby and Harold and Maude. I can't think of anything else she was in.
She was a very accomplished actor. It's like, I don't know, man.
But in her later years or like in her earlier years?
In their earlier years, it's like, I don't know. What is it? What's the saying? Die a hero or fade away?
Well, that's not her saying.
I don't know, man. But yeah, she was super annoying in this movie. I'm like, seriously, you can't get anybody else to replace this person?
Also, like, she's. I like how when he's a kid, he gets kidnapped by Ginger.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it jumps forward so many years where he's now an adult, but the godparents, Ruth Gordon and her husband, are still the same age, or even still alive.
Right. Also, it looks like it also looks like the exact same place where the bus just took off. I'm like, you seriously couldn't skimp for other locations? Yeah. That's also funny where she told him that he killed those kids when he didn't kill those kids.
I was wondering about that, like why I guess she was just trying to freak her out too. Or
I had to rewind that like 3 times. I'm like, wait a minute, did he really kill those kids? But then no, I went back and the sheriff, they got up with the sheriff. They're like, all right, everybody, just, everybody's like, it was funny because there was a lot of people. He's like, all right, everybody, let's break it up. Yeah, like what? I'm like, where are they? Where everybody's hanging out at the fucking bus station.
Also, like, what are his powers then? Because all he does is his eyes glow and then he just pushes people to the ground.
He throws people, right?
Like the cops and the bikers. And
yeah, and that biker, I'm like, where did you get that motorcycle chain that fast? I guess I don't know. It was weird. And it was almost like first, I thought I was thinking in my mind, because I was already a little drunk, when he goes in between the motorcycle guys, I was like, that takes skill. That takes skill. Whoever
when I watched that, I was like,
that takes skill.
Yeah, when I watched that, I was like, man, that's pretty close. Like,
and then there's no special effects whatsoever except for the widening of the eyes. I was hoping he was gonna kill, and they were gonna show some blood on that. Speaking of which, the one in Rosemary's Baby, when that girl jumps out, well, when they find that girl dead, that was pretty gory, where their eyeball popped out for 1965.
The one on the street?
Yeah, I can't think of any other movie that was like that in the 60s. Or at least not here in America.
Not Living Dead? Yeah. I don't know when neither. I don't know when Night of the Living Dead. I can't remember when it came out, but I know it was shot in the
60s.
night Martin Luther King got shot.
That was 68.
But I don't know when it was actually released because it played in theaters for years.
Let's see. It says 1968.
That's when they filmed it, but
it says release date October the 1st, 1968.
Did you say when they started filming it, or
production? He directed, produced. Doesn't really say. Just says the 60s.
Yeah, because I've watched something on that too, where it's saying it only played in certain markets for years, and then it slowly started getting picked up in other markets, like in the midnight movie circuit.
I never knew that. It said he drew in his inspiration from Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. Have you read that book?
No, but I've seen the movies based on that.
Oh my God. The
No,
book
not,
is
not the Will Smith. There's Omega Man.
Oh,
Omega Man, and there's another one.
That's an amazing book.
There was two of them. There's also a movie. What's it called? I saw this movie the other night. It was very. I didn't watch the ending of it, so I couldn't tell you if it was exactly like I Am Legend, but it was with who's the guy that sings the not Calypso.
Harry Belafonte?
Yeah, him.
What about
him? He was an actor in it, and he's like him and this woman and guy are like the last three people left on Earth after a nuclear war or a nuclear bomb went off. And it was called The World, or The Word, the Flesh, and the Devil.
Where'd you see that at?
Turner Classic Movies.
Harry Belafonte. I pay them $10 a month. I don't know what for. I got a good satchel.
But it was called The Word, or The World, the Flesh.
Let's see.
The Devil.
That guy's still alive? He's still alive. Harry Belafonte. Oh, here it is. The World, the Flesh, and the Devil, 1959. A miner trapped in a cave-in resurfaces, and upon discovering mankind has been wiped out by nuclear holocaust.
Yep.
Mel Ferrer. I don't know. Do you think Polanski ripped off at all Argento, or more? You think more that Rosemary's Baby is more like a Hitchcock movie?
I don't know if Argento
with the
was out.
Antichrist.
I don't think Argento was out then, because Argento was Dario Argento. If anybody's listening, or people that are listening,
yeah, he was Plumage.
He's an Italian horror movie director. Back in the 60s, he was like a stagehand. He was like he worked as a stagehand and helped with cameras on older movies like Once Upon a Time in the West, Once Upon a Time in America, things like that. I don't think he started directing till like the early 70s, 72. And Rosemary's Baby
Argento.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. The Bird with the Crystal Plumage is 1970. You're right. Rosemary's Baby is 68. Have you seen that? The Bird with the Crystal Plumage and the Cat of Nine Tails.
I've seen
Fly on Gray Velvet.
Four Flies on Gray Velvet. I can't remember which. I've seen two of them. One of them I haven't. I can't remember which ones they are. I have the Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and I think I've seen Cat of Nine Tails, and the Four Flies on Gray Velvet. I haven't seen yet.
Do you have the Arrow video version?
No, I have Blue Underground.
Nice.
Um,
Apparently, when Arrow put it out first, people got mad because they changed the aspect ratio per the director of photography. People like fucking lost their goddamn minds. So then they put another one out with the original release aspect
man, that's
ratio.
crazy. The power of fans, man.
Yeah.
There was, I was watching this movie. Uh, I cannot remember what it's called now.
What was it about?
It was about like all these different assassins with Common and Alicia Keys. Um,
I know what you're talking about.
um,
It's in
Cookie
Las Vegas.
Cookie from Empire. Yeah.
Cookie from Empire.
Yeah, I can't think of her name.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's see what it's called. It's called Smokin Aces.
Smokin Aces. So there's this composer now called Clint Mansell.
Mhm.
He did the music for Moon and Noah. That movie.
Did you see like the one with
Pie,
the one?
Requiem for a Dream. Oh,
No, but I mean, I can't believe the Noah, like the actual story of the Ark. That one with what's his
Russell.
name, Russell Crowe.
Yeah, it was terrible. I did not like it.
I can't believe you watched that movie. You watched it only because it was Daren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
Pie is amazing. Requiem for a
Um,
Dream is fucking amazing.
well, Clint Mansell does a lot of music for them. He does a music for a lot of movies. But he was a singer for this band called Pop Will Eat Itself from
I've heard of them.
England, and then they came to America and got signed to Trent Reznor's label. And they kind of broke up. He started doing soundtrack music, which he still does. Anyways, he did the music for Smokin Aces, and the fans were so upset that they did not release a soundtrack of his music on like a physical release, because back then streaming wasn't going on too much. So they wanted like a physical release of the soundtrack. That they made death threats against the director.
Really?
Yeah, and the director finally had to tell them like, please make a soundtrack of this because the fans are going to kill me.
Like they didn't think. I mean, normally they do. That's weird that they don't. It's on Stars right now. If you want to watch it, Smokin Aces.
One time was good enough.
Um, what's the director's name? Oh my God, Jeremy Piven's in it. Ray Liotta's in it.
Yep,
Ryan Reynolds is in it.
that's right.
Alex Rock. Wayne Newton is Ben. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this movie.
Wayne Newton.
Andy Garcia. Oh my God. Andy
Really?
Garcia. Andy Garcia's in it.
Oh man, I remember. Well, you know what? I do remember watching it. I
Dude,
was like,
there's like a
man,
crap load of people. Chris Pine's in
yeah,
this movie.
there was a ton of people in there.
Director Joe Carnahan probably never directed anything else again. Oh yeah, he did. He did Narc, The Gray, The A. Oh, he was a writer. Let's see if he directed anything else. No, it looks like he's a writer of a lot of things.
Yeah,
I think that was like a. I think that was at a time. What year did that come out?
mid 2000s.
What's weird on IMDb when you go to his page on IMDb, it shows a face of Kevin Smith instead of his face. 2006.
All right,
I think this was one of those like it was trying to cash in on like those what was
like
those movies like Seven Dead Heads and Seven Duffel Bags and those kind of movies, you know what I mean?
the A Team and
No, like this movie was like a one of those like a rip off of like Smokin Aces was kind of like cashing in on like uh what things to do when you're dead in Denver, kind of those kind of movies.
uh, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, don't watch that. Kind of like what's his name? The guy who did
It reminded
Magnolia, huh?
Seven Aces reminded me of the A-Team, and then there was a movie that ripped off the A-Team called, it was like The Losers or something, with the Captain America guy and Zoe Saldana.
Well, you're right up the alley because the guy who directed Smokin Aces, wrote the A-Team.
Yeah, it was all just that type of styled violence and action, and yeah, I think people got tired of that after a while.
To me, it's like a violent swinger. It's basically what it is. Those movies are to me. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
It's like swingers with guns. It's swingers with guns. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I can see that. All right.
See what it's called. Gwyneth Paltrow. It has Dewey Cox. What's his name? One of Step Brothers with Will Ferrell. What's his name? He's got 3 names too. Son of a motherless goat. What's that guy's name? He's Ricky Bobby's friend. What is his name?
Ricky. I don't remember that.
He's on Tim and Eric. Well, okay, I'm looking for it right now. What is it called? What's his name?
Now I'm trying to think of it.
It's called Heart 8. Heart 8. It's John C. Reilly. Yeah. Dewey Cox. Did you ever see that movie, Dewey Cox? It's like he's like
that is not 3 names.
John. Oh yeah. See. I mean, okay. I'm sorry. Well, he puts the middle, even if it's initial. I mean, it's in there. But yeah, Samuel L. Jackson's in that movie. John C. Reilly, Gwyneth Paltrow. That's Paul Thomas Anderson's first movie, Heart 8. If you haven't seen that, it's actually pretty good. It's on Prime Video for free right now if you have Prime.
All right, I'll look at that.
That's what I like about IMDb right now, because it will tell you, like, if you look up a movie, it'll tell you if it's where it's streaming or where you can watch it online. It's a good upgrade. It's good upgrade to the IMDb webpage. I wanted to talk to you about the new Dune.
Yeah.
Everybody's dogging on this new kid who's going to play Paul Atreides. Ooh. What's his name? His name is Timothy. What the fuck is this kid's name?
Do you have like kind of curly long hair?
Exactly. Timothy. No, I think he was in the pictures. Yeah. They made fun of him on this past Saturday Night Live. If you haven't seen the last Saturday Night Live, the newest episode, they did it all at home, and one of the girls made fun of him.
What's he from, or where's he from?
I want to say he was in. He's like kind of like the young It kid now. Timothy Chalamet. I want to say he was in Call Me by Your Name. Yeah, he was in. That's where he became famous. 2017. Okay. Call Me by Your Name. He was in Lady Bird. He was in the new Little Women. Last year, he was in The King. So he's kind of like the young kid right now. But
when I was looking at the pictures, I thought that was the Stranger Things kid.
You're right; they look exactly the same.
And I was like, "Oh God, this is gonna be terrible."
What's his name? It's got Wolf in it. Finn Wolfhard, I think that kid's name.
That's who I thought it was.
Yeah. But he is playing Paul Atreides.
Okay.
Oscar Isaacs is playing his dad, Duke Leto Atreides. Josh Brolin is playing the Patrick Stewart part.
Okay.
Jason Momoa is playing that. What's his name? Idaho guy. Who else is in it? Zendaya is playing Johnny, played by crazy lady who wanted to be in Catwoman. What's her name?
Yeah. Sean Young.
Yep. I mean, it looks good.
It looked interesting, but I know it's gonna rely not so much, but it's gonna look better with special effects and everything else going on. So,
and the good thing is the good thing the director was like, I'm not gonna make it one movie. He's gonna make it multiple movies.
Wow. The original one, I don't remember seeing. I didn't see it when it came out when I was a kid. Actually, I didn't see it till I was a teenager. But it doesn't. It's interesting, but I'm not like, man, that movie's great. I'm gonna watch it again. I think I watched it twice, and it's just sat there in my collection. So
The Lynch Dune.
yeah,
Did you see the Sci-Fi Channel? We were talking about that
no,
earlier. You see that one?
no, but I heard that one was really good.
It is. I mean, really, the most well-known actor in it is William Hurt, who plays Duke Leto. I mean,
Yeah,
it's good because it's longer. It's
right.
like 3 hours, or I think it's 6 hours long. I had the DVD when it first came out on Sci-Fi Channel. I bought it as soon as it came out. I wish I still had it, but it's good. Um, what was I gonna say? I saw it when it came out. My parents were divorced when I was a kid, so my dad would pick me up on Saturdays, and I don't know why, but for some reason, his time with me sometimes would be going to the movies. So he would take me to the movies, and then he would bring me back home. I don't know if that's something that my mom was like, no, you can just have him for a movie. I don't know. I've never even asked my parents. But that's how I saw like Star Trek 2. That's how I saw Fletch. That's how I saw Return of the Jedi. And that's how I saw this movie. And I mean, what year was it? 84. So fuck me, I was 7 years old. My dad took me to see it. My dad didn't give a shit. He's like, we're gonna go see this movie. I'm like, all right. So he didn't talk to me so he would pick me up, talk to me on the way over there, not talk to me for 2 hours while we watched the movie, and then he would take me home. God love him. Um, but I saw a lot of good movies because of my dad. Um, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know why that happened.
I had
But
a
but at least he would still try to come see me, you know.
I had an uncle. He was in Vietnam, and he would.
Mhm.
I don't think he liked. I don't think he liked kids, like little kids. So when I was a little kid, I was terrified of him. And then as I became a teenager, he would talk to me more, um, and he would just throw me on his Harley, and we'd go run errands or something while my mom and his wife, my aunt, would talk and hang out and eat pan dulce and drink coffee and shit.
No
And
helmet, right?
yeah, no helmet. I didn't want to be there, and he was just like, "Let's go, Beal." And I'm like, "All right, let's go." So we'd go. But he would take me to movies too, like, and we would see terrible things, like we saw Young Guns. One time he woke me up. I was spent the night at their house, and I was asleep on their couch, and it was like 12 at night, and I was already crashed out. And he woke me up, and he's like, "You want to go to the movies at 12:30?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And I was just a kid. We're going out, and I'm like, "Man, this is what happens at night. This is where adults are." I was stupid. When I was a kid, I remember there's one show in particular. You're gonna laugh when I say it. It was Moonlighting with
Yeah,
with
that's the best.
with when Bruce Willis was a TV star, not a
At
movie
least
star.
at least the first couple of seasons.
Um, I remember I used to watch that, and I would always think like, where are they at? Like, what? That's not San Antonio. What city is that? And how do I get there? Like,
That's
that
awesome.
place looks cool. I want to get there. And then I got older, and I was like, oh, I think they were in Chicago, but
Where was that? Was it Chicago?
I think it was Chicago. But I was always just like, man, there's stuff like that outside of San Antonio. Like, I want to go there. How do I get over there? Why don't we live there?
This one's for you, Drew. You ready?
To hell and Northern 10.
This is an actual song. Tell me if you know who sings it.
Don't you change someone by night, sometime by day.
So if you don't know, that was the theme to Moonlighting. Who sings that song?
No.
Al Jarreau.
Oh wow. If you take that vocal out, it sounds like um, what is it called? Wait, what is it?
I
Oh,
keep
I can't
forgetting.
think.
Michael
No,
McDonald.
no, no, no. That style of music. Is it Wave House or what is it?
Like Chill Wave?
Yeah, like that. I can't think of what it's called.
Basically, any Japanese video game music, like in the late '90s.
Well, there's an artist called Macintosh
Yes, you showed me that guy.
Plus.
Did he mash it?
I
Where
think
he
I
mashed it up
think
Michael
he's a
Jackson's obviously, right?
I think he's a woman. I think it's a woman. I'm not sure, but that Michael Jackson one you're talking about, that's another artist called Saint Pepsi. But they're like,
Yes, but I know who Macintosh because I follow him on, or I don't know,
so
I found him somewhere. Yeah.
so Macintosh Plus has an album. I gotta look it up. Well, anyways, he made an album and he basically took an old Diana. I'm explaining this to everybody at home because I think Mark knows this, but he basically took an old Diana Ross song from the late '70s or early '80s and slowed it down. And that's all he did. He just slowed it down and did some cuts on it. And it created a new style of music, just taking an old Diana Ross song and doing that.
Vaporwave. Right?
That's what it
Yeah.
is. Vaporwave. He created this new style of music called Vaporwave. And these kids that would listen to Vaporwave were very much into like 90s smooth jazz type stuff.
It's Japanese. They're the ones that created that style, like
But they would
Japanese
also
city pop.
they were it sounded to me like mall music. Like when I was a kid walking around Windsor Park Mall, the music that was playing overhead, just like instrumental saxophony BS.
Like
And
cooler music.
yeah, and then it also sounded like when you would watch instructional videos on VHS, like the music that would be the music that would be the intro to it. Well, that's what when you just played that right now, that's what that reminded me of.
Violence in the Workplace, Part 1. But back to Dune. They haven't said who's going to play Harkonnen and Fade either. So I'm looking forward to see who's going to play those.
Maybe a nobody.
I can't even think. John C. Reilly would be a good Harkonnen.
It has to be a singer, Mark.
No, that's Fade. Sting. He's in Faid, Fayd.
That was him?
That was Sting, yeah. He played his nephew. Harkonnen was the fat guy.
Oh, the gross dude that floated around.
Yeah, Duke Harkonnen. Sting. His only other good role was in Time Bandits.
Was that his only other role? Because I don't remember him in anything.
He was in that movie. Oh, he's in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He plays the dad.
Oh, my brother's gonna be mad that I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I love Dune. I love that book. I've never read any of the other ones. I could care less. But Dune is a masterpiece.
Frank Herbert? Who wrote him?
Frank Herbert, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I might read some of those in. Actually, I wanted to read some of Barry Gifford's books.
Who's that? I haven't heard of that guy.
The guy that wrote Wild at Heart.
I always confuse that with True Romance. My bad.
So apparently the characters that are in Wild at Heart, like Perdita Durango, I can't remember Willem Dafoe's. Man, I can't remember anything today. Willem Dafoe, Bobby Peru. That's who he plays. Apparently, Barry Gifford wrote a bunch of stories about those characters, like and other characters too. But while David Lynch's Wild at Heart is one story, there's this Mexican director called Alex de la Iglesia. He made a movie called Perdita Durango with Javier Bardem and Rosie Perez, and that movie is about Perdita Durango, which in Wild at Heart she's played by Isabella Rossellini.
Dude, he did Lost Highway?
Ooh, David Lynch?
Barry Gifford.
Oh, Barry Gifford wrote it. But he wrote a bunch of stories about different characters. Actually, if you haven't seen Perdita Durango, it's also known as Dance with the Devil.
Yeah,
it is like It is like natural born killers on acid in Mexico, and it's
Wow.
wild. Even if you watch the trailer, you'll just be like, "What is going on?" Everybody I've shown it to loves it.
I need to check this guy out. I didn't know that.
Ooh,
Barry
very different.
Gifford, American author, poet, and screenwriter. Damn it, I'm going to go down another wormhole with this guy. Imagine Paradise. No, that's poetry. Novels. Wild at Heart, the story of Sailor and Lula. Part 1 in the Sailor and Lula series.
Yeah, there's a few.
Lost Highway, dude. We could do a whole podcast on that bad boy. Did you get that on Blu-ray?
Oh, did it come out?
Yeah. Blu-ray.com.
No, well, wait. That's the one that came out that David Lynch said not to get.
Was that the only? I think that might be right because that's the only one that's out. It's like when DVDs came out. You know, as soon as DVDs came out, they were just like, fucking throw it on there. Who gives a shit what it looks like? Just throw it on there so we can look at it. I think they're doing that now with Blu-rays too.
Yeah, he put out something saying do not buy it. Something about pan and scan or the ratio's off or it's not what he approved.
Oh my god, pan and scan should have never existed. I don't know, man. If Criterion put that out, oh my god, I'd buy 2 copies.
I would like that one. I have a buddy. He had just started watching like David Lynch. We have several friends together, and one of our friends came to me, and she was like, "Hey," she's like, "he started watching David Lynch stuff," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I think he's in his 20s. But
Is this the guy who works with us?
No.
Okay.
He went up to my friend and was just like, "What the fuck is up with David Lynch?" And she was like, "Wait," she's like, "What do you mean?" And she's a David Lynch fan too. And he was like, "I don't understand what's going on in Twin Peaks." And she was like, "Okay, well, you have to watch like Blue Velvet and Lost Highway." And I was like, "You need to watch more than that." I was like, "You can't throw him down Lost Highway."
Yeah, you can't just jump into Lost Highway. Whether you'd be like, what is going on here?
But yeah, he was telling me he was watching Twin Peaks, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "I'm not really too sure what's going on." He's like, "But I really like it." So I was like, "Oh, it's cool, man." But yeah, it was funny. He was talking to me about it. He was like, "Dude, I can't understand it." But he was like, "It's not making sense to me all the way, and once I think I have it figured out, it goes a different direction." So I'm like, okay. But I've told people before, and I'll tell anybody who's listening. Like David Lynch movies, it's like imagine if you're at a restaurant, at a bar, anywhere, just out in public, by yourself, and you're just people watching, you're doing whatever, and you overhear a conversation, and you only hear a part of the conversation. Let's just say you hear, "My son Jack, he's in prison again for beating up his wife. His wife deserved it. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go see him tomorrow." And then the person walks off. All you heard was that little snippet. Your brain, being your brain, is probably going to, that may be some messed up stuff you heard, but you're just like, "Man, what the hell is that? Who's Jack?" Your brain will fill in the blanks and start piecing together a story for you without even trying to do it. It'll just do that. I think that's the same way you could look at a David Lynch film. It's like, you're just jumping in and you're like, okay, I don't know anything about these people. I'm just jumping in and I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and most of the time you're like, whoa, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this.
Yeah. And David Lynch himself has said he's never going to explain his movies. He's of the idea that art should be interpreted by the person watching it.
That's the beauty of it. Everybody has their own. Yeah, everybody has their own interpretation.
Yeah.
Man, now I have to fucking go watch Lost Highway.
I remember I saw that in the movie theater, and people were just like, I could hear people like saying like, "What is going on?" And then they were like, did that guy turn into that guy? Yeah.
Dude, just seeing fucking Robert, what's his name, Beretta, just seeing that guy for the first time, you're like, what the fuck? Imagine just turning around and seeing that guy just staring you down. You're like, oh fuck.
That, you know what, that movie, Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive, have two of the scariest scenes that I've ever seen in a movie, but they're not. I mean, if you think about them, they're not that scary, but to me, they're like when at that scene when Robert Blake comes out, Bill Pullman and Patricia Arquette are at the party with him. They leave, and when they get home, you can see lights inside their house like going crazy, and there's like this wild trumpet, brassy sound, and that terrified the crap out of me. And then there's a scene in Inland Empire where these guys are sitting in a Denny's type restaurant, and one of them tells the other one like,
Inland Empire is.
Oh wait, not Inland Empire. Mulholland Drive. Sorry,
but I was gonna say though, Inland Empire, you can't just jump into that bad boy either.
That movie's a whole nightmare. But on Mulholland Drive, they're sitting there, and one guy's like, "I had a dream that we were eating at this place." He goes, and then we went behind the restaurant, and there was this guy there, and he looked like terrible or scary or whatever. So the guy's like, well, let's go behind the restaurant. So he walks back there, and he sees a guy that looks messed up, like he looks burned. And the guy just basically comes into frame, and the guy screams, and like the sound cuts out in the movie, so it's like dead silence, but it's a deafening silence. And this guy just collapses, and then the burned guy just like disappears back out of scene.
That's what's great about that movies, because I think it shows you how scary real life can be. Like, that's real shit. It's not Hollywood. It's not made up. It's not makeup. It's not. That's what's scary about David Lynch movies. You're like, this is real shit.
I've heard and I've read that people say different parts of the movies. Like, I heard people say like Blue Velvet terrified them. The whole movie terrified them. So I'm like, man, that's interesting to me that he can do that.
But that's what I love about Mulholland Drive, because to me, Mulholland Drive, that is the real Los Angeles. That's all the glitz and the glamour and the facade. That's all the glitz, glamour, and facade just stripped away. Like,
he basically did with Hollywood what he did with America, the American Dream and Blue Velvet.
Right.
He showed it to you, and then he peeled it away and showed you the underbelly, the seedy underbelly, and what's beneath.
Right. Like you're getting bewitched by a witch, and she looks like she's a young girl, and then you snap out of it and you see she's old and decrepit and rotted teeth. That's what Mulholland Drive is for LA to me.
Ah, that's good. I like that.
That's such a fucking good movie. I'm telling you, pick them up. Even if you wait for 50% off, pick up Criterion versions of Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive. They do them such good justice.
Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me.
Yes. Oh my God. And then Bruce Lee, almost cried. I thought when you sent that to me,
yeah,
I was like, this has to be a joke, because every April Fool's Day they'll put out like a joke that they're going to put out. Criterion, like one time they did Kindergarten Cop, but people also make but fans also make their own covers that they wish that Criterion would put out. So when you sent me that, I was like, there's no way this is real. And then I looked at the link, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. They're gonna put out a box set in July. Bruce Lee, finally it's gonna get the justice. I had a Shout Factory version, which is pretty good. It would come with the Blu-ray, and it would come with the DVDs. But for the longest time, whenever any box set they'd put out, it would only be his films from Golden Harvest that were made in Japan, that were made in China first. And then of course, Universal, his first American was made by Universal or by Warner Brothers. You always have to buy that separate. Like, they never put them together. But this one is going to be all of his movies in one box set, and it's going to be the original Mandarin versions of his first 4 movies.
Oh wow!
With the overdubs, and oh my God, I cannot wait.
I'm not a massive Bruce Lee fan. I mean, I will watch his movies. All I've known are the American movies, and somebody told me that's all he ever made. And then I started seeing that
No.
there were these other movies, but then I saw there were movies that came after he died that were attributed to Bruce Lee, but it was just another guy playing him.
Well,
But
the
they were
last
just
one,
trying to cash in on
yeah,
his name.
the last one was Game of Death, and he died before it was done. So the main fighting sequences are him, like where he fights the different guys, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and where he goes in that kind of
Right.
pagoda. He's like going up, but he died. So yes, they have another guy in there in the other scenes that looks like him, but he's always wearing sunglasses. So they put that out
Oh,
to they put that out to finish it so they can make money off of it. But that was the only other one. There was the Enter the Dragon that was made. That was the first American one, and then Game of Death was the second American one. But which, like I said, he died before it finished. But all the other ones, Fist of Fury, Return of the Dragon, which is better known as Way of the Dragon, The Big
yeah.
Boss, those were all filmed in China before he became famous in America. But Jesus, it's gonna be so badass. I always tell people, they're like, "Why do you like Bruce Lee? It's just kung fu." I was like, "It. Look, he's badass, but every one of those stories has a moral to it. And if you really, really pay attention to what he's talking about, it's not about fighting. Like every single one of those, though, the whole movie, he's basically trying not to fight because he's trying to be good. He's like, no, I'm not gonna fight. I promised somebody I wasn't gonna
Yeah.
fight. And it's not until the very end he's like, sorry, you fucked me over. They have to kill everybody before he starts fighting people.
Um, well, I mean, what I was saying, there's a Bruce Lee. The last name is spelled Li,
Bruce
and that was
Leroy.
they were trying to capitalize on his name by putting
Yeah.
an actor with that name.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
a couple of movies of those with him. Yeah, it's like Bruce Lee. It's Bruce Lee. Yeah.
like I've heard people that grew up when they were kids, Bruce Lee was around, and they talk, like they were so impressed with him. Wu-Tang Clan talks about kung fu movies. When I was coming up, it was Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris. Um, like those movies were amazing to me. My friends and I, we were kids. We would talk about that shit all the time. Like, dude, can Chuck Norris kick Jean-Claude Van Damme's ass? Like, no way. So I see it the same way when like people talk about Bruce Lee. To me, I don't hold him in that regard. I don't think he's dumb or anything at all. But yeah, I just hold it in that same regard of like, man, that was interesting to me to see like martial arts like that. Because when I was a kid, I made my own nunchucks,
Yeah.
and I was running around fighting non-existent ninjas.
Did you have Ninja Stars?
No, I had a friend. He had the ninja shoes, the ones that had the. He bought them out of a magazine, and I begged him to let me try them on one time, and I tried them on, and I was like, dude, let me have these. He never let me have them, but whatever.
That's funny you say that because yes, like in the maybe towards the end of the 80s, yes, there was a time where everybody was about ninjas. Like it was all about ninjas. I went as a ninja for elementary school one year. My friend's mom made me a camouflage ninja suit that I wore to the Halloween costume contest. Yeah, it was like all of a sudden, like kids like cowboys, kids like pirates. All of a sudden, for some
Yeah,
reason, when we were kids, it was about ninjas. Like everybody wanted to be dressed as a ninja.
I took Taekwondo.
I took karate for like a hot minute. I was too fat to kick.
I was, yeah, it was. I think I got up to an orange belt. That was about it.
I still remember the guy's name. His name was Richard Dixon. Richard Dixon Karate. He was a good guy. I was like, I want to take guitar lessons, not karate lessons. Um, but American Ninja movies. Have you seen those? American Ninja?
Michael Dudikoff.
There's the American Ninja 3 is the one that for some reason me and my brother would always catch on HBO, and that's the one I remember the most, American Ninja 3, where it takes over. It's that girl from Breakin'. I'm trying to look up her name now.
Lucinda Dickey.
Exactly. She's in American Ninja 3, where it's basically I'm telling you, dude,
No,
these
I don't
movies
think
are
that's
so good.
American Ninja.
Is it? It is
No,
American Ninja 3, where the ninja takes over her, so like he possesses her.
it's American Ninja.
American Ninja 3, I want to say. No,
Oh, it's Ninja 3, The Domination.
that's right. It's just Ninja
Because
3.
that's a trilogy, but none of them have to do with each other.
Right. Like yeah, you're right. Because I tried to watch the first one, and like it has nothing. You're right. The story is completely different.
Yeah.
But that's the one we would watch.
I,
I think because at that time we were like, oh, this girl's sexy, and then she would
I
start.
would,
She would start. Yeah, that's the plot of the movie. Because first of all, she was sexy, and then once the ninja possessed her, she went around and started killing all his enemies
yeah.
in the hot tub.
In the hot tub. No, you said American Ninja. I thought you meant the Michael Dudikoff movies.
No, you're right. That's American Ninja. No, this is just Ninja. The
Yeah,
80s.
dude, I remember when kids were just talking about when I was younger. We had this one kid in elementary. He loved Freddy Krueger. And I mean, he ordered the glove out of a magazine. He had the hat. He had the sweater. And he would just watch. He would just watch Nightmare on Elm Street, all of them, all the time. At that point, there was only like 3, but he would just watch them nonstop. He loved Freddy Krueger. And he would sit there. He would sit there in class and like draw Freddy Krueger. We had somebody else that was just all about ninjas, and he would buy the throwing stars out of magazines, or his dad would have them or something. He's the one that had the ninja shoes that he let me try them on.
Dude, I miss that. 'Cause, I mean, those are the days where you could cut out the little square out of the magazine, and you'd
Yeah.
fucking address it to the thing that it said on there. You would fucking send them your money
And
or a
wait
check
6 weeks.
and wait for that shit to show up, and it would show up. Nowadays, people are like, "Oh, it's instant. I got my credit card.
Yeah.
I've already paid for it. It's come." There, you had to do blind faith. That's where
Dude,
also, like in the Man magazine, like you'd send out for like whoopee cushions and like flies in the fake ice cubes with the flies in them.
sea monkeys.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling people about music too, man. Like, I was like, man, I would find out, like Throbbing Gristle. I was like, I would find out or hear about a certain band, and I wouldn't be able to hear them for years
It's
because
crazy. You
the
just couldn't
record
find
stores
it.
here, I would always go to record stores here, and they wouldn't have it. And when we started traveling for our job with Lucent, I was hitting up record stores in other cities and other states, and I was finding stuff like crazy. And I was like, man, they have everything I've ever wanted. And nowadays, kids are like, I could wear. My friends make fun of me and they tell me I always wear obscure band T-shirts, which is probably true. Um, I'll wear an obscure band T-shirt and some young kid will be like, "Oh man, I love all of his albums," and I'm like, "How'd you hear him?"
How?
He's like, "Oh, they're all on Spotify," and I'm all, "Oh, fuck you."
I miss that. I miss that where you had to really fucking work for getting some bands sometimes. Yeah, you have to
It's
drive to a whole other city. I had to drive to Austin or Dallas or Houston and be
yeah.
like, God, Jesus, I found it.
Then I'd explain to somebody what an import was, and they were like, "I don't get it. Like, why wasn't it available here?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"Because it was
man.
an import, like
That was a whole nother racket. That was a whole nother racket imports.
an expensive racket."
Hmm.
Yeah, it was the same thing. Like nowadays, it's good and bad. It's more good than anything. I'm just gonna sound like an old man, but it's more good than anything to have everything at your fingertips now. And I can reference something, and everybody's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Look at your phone. Spend 5 minutes reading about it." Oh, okay. Then they'll know who it is.
You know where that Brookstone is in North Star by I guess was it Macy's now, where that GameStop is at, and then right next to it is a Brookstone and North
Next to
Star
the
Mall.
bookstore. Next to the bookstore.
No, next to GameStop and North Star Mall. You know where Macy's is at, right? At the very end?
That's where Dillard's used to be. I haven't been
Yeah.
in the mall in years. Yeah.
But do you remember right there where Brookstone used to be? It used to be I think it was Music
Oh, there
Express.
was, yeah, the one that had all the imports.
They were like the market on imports, and I would walk in there and be like, oh my God. And even then, even like in 1995, it was like $60 for 2 CDs.
Dude, I remember I begged my mom. They had the Nine Inch Nails Broken movie,
Oh.
which
And how much
I
was that?
it was $45.
Damn, that was a
I'll
lot of
I'll
money.
I'll explain it real quick to everybody listening. If you don't know what the Nine Inch Nails Broken movie is, in 1992, Nine Inch Nails put out an album called Broken, and he decided to make a full-length movie to go along with each song. Well, to go along with the album itself, and only like two of the songs that he made videos for were able to be played on MTV. The rest of them look like snuff films. It looks like cops finding a refrigerator in a house full of body parts. There's like this grainy home video footage of this guy hanging somebody by their wrists and then burning them with a blowtorch and stabbing them and necrophilia type stuff and just crazy stuff. Anyways, it was rumored that Nine Inch Nails made this movie. I go to North Star Mall and I go to the record store right outside of where Macy's is now. It used to be Dillard's.
Yep.
And they had the VHS
No,
cassette.
Dillard's is on the other side. What is it? What did it used to? What was it before Macy's? Was it Foley's?
Oh, it was Foley's. That's right.
Foley's. That's right.
My bad. It was Foley's. Then it became Macy's, but it was right outside on the right hand side, across from where Luby's used to be.
Yep, exactly.
And they had the VHS cassette of it. This is how old I am. I begged my mom to pay for it. It was like $45. She wasn't having it, so I saved up $25. Went back. She gave me $20 and I bought it, and it was a pretty rough watch, but
I owned everything you hoped it would be.
It was pretty cool. Like back then, that was catering to everything I was into. So
I remember buying a bootleg, and it was basically just a VHS copy that somebody copied, but it was of Pearl Jam Unplugged because it wasn't officially released. So somebody had copied Pearl Jam Unplugged, but somehow they got the entire thing. It had songs that were not on the show on MTV, and then it had all this stuff from like Europe, like just from they were on Europe TV shows and all these videos. Yeah, and I think I got my grandfather to pay to buy that for me, and I think it was like $50. And he's like, "This is it. You're not getting Christmas or nothing for your birthday." I was like, "Okay."
I'm Mexican.
Yep. He's like, "This is it. You're covered for Christmas, your birthday, fucking your confirmation. You're done, dude, for the rest of the year."
For college, say goodbye to college.
You have to buy your own damn books.
The old days.
I miss those days though. You had to really earn it. You had to really work for it, man.
Dude, I used to skip lunch because my mom would always give me lunch money. I'd skip lunch because I'd have extra money then.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go and buy albums and singles and things like that.
I would not go to school and go buy records. I used to take my brother to school. I used to have to take my brother and our neighbor, and I would drop him off at the front of the school. I would drive into the parking lot. This was when I was senior. I would drive into the parking lot like I was going to park, and I would just drive right the fuck out and go look for records.
You know what? When I was in high school, it was just me at home by myself. My mom would take me to the dentist or something, or a doctor, and she would just be like, "Okay, like, I'm leaving you here. You're old enough to do it on your own." But then she's like, "Take the bus to school when you're done," and she'd give me money. And instead, I'd take the bus and go to the mall, or go to Apple Records or something and buy stuff, and then I'd go to school.
Fuck, Apple Records, man. That was another place that had shit. That was the first place I remember they would sell used stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they would resell stuff.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I still have something that I bought there. It was a Pearl Jam box set, and it was the shittiest of quality, but it had all their demos. It had songs from like some of the first bands like Green River. I still had that. I tried to sell it on eBay when I first got married, and they fucking took that bad boy down like in a hot minute. They're like, this is not approved. Because I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I think I paid $150 for that box set.
Jesus.
And it was because it was all unreleased stuff, and it was the shittiest quality. But I was so in heaven that I had that.
Yeah, I do remember having stuff like that, especially from that store at North Star Mall, where it was like, I had VHS tapes from some bands where it was like videos that they recorded off of MTV, and then all of a sudden it was like a performance on a German TV talk show or something, and then another recorded video from MTV, and I was like, well, I guess it's cool. I'll have it all on one VHS tape. That's terrible quality. But
now everything is at your fingertips.
Yep.
All
Like
right,
this
man.
podcast.
We're at an hour and a half. So
That's good.
We're gonna have to wrap it up. Oh, I think that was a good one. I think we did a good one.
Yeah, it's cool that we had people that participated and actually told me they were watching it. So
Yeah.
there's a few other movies that I've seen on there that, like, there's some Wes Craven movies that I remember seeing when I was a kid on TV that are now on YouTube.
That'll be good.
So yeah, this is an idea. We just kind of spitballed, see if people would participate. Thinking about doing it with other things, like maybe an album or book.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Book.
Maybe just have something. Well, not something we'll do all the time, but just maybe have something to talk about, so you guys are in on the joke. Mark and I tend to talk about stuff that a lot of people don't know about. That sounds lofty and pretentious, but it's true. So yeah, just to have something that everybody's in on the joke with. That's cool.
Cool. All right, man. Good episode 3. We'll see.
Thanks, guys.
We'll post on what we're gonna do next for episode 4. Hopefully we can do it. We'll do the episodes a lot, maybe sooner. I don't even remember the last one. I guess it was in March.
Yeah.
Maybe we can shoot for at least 2 episodes a month.
We have the time.
All right. Stay safe.
All right, brother. You too, man. Everybody stay safe out there.
All right. Talk to you later.
Later.